We are short so we have our team assigned is to make a call and try to get the
I got echo. 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 It's not me. 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 It's not me.
so what we
So
can't
what we
do,
can't, what we can't, what we can't, what we can't, what
Miss
we can't,
Yolanda,
what we can't, 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 what we can't.
perfect,
Perfect,
perfect.
perfect, 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 perfect,
So
perfect,
yes, yes, early on,
the start, the start, the start.
going to now
Going to now,
ask Miss
going to
Yolanda
now,
for
Director Market, Director Market, Director Market, Director Market, Director Market, Director Market, Director Patient, Director Fox, here, 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 Director Director Taylor,
very good.
very good,
So with
very good,
that,
very good,
we're going
very
to
good,
skip
skip
to the presentation items that are currently on the agenda, Miss Yolanda. And it sounds like we have some feedback.
Yeah, echo.
Somebody maybe has a phone on. Maybe it stopped.
It's quiet now.
Commanded it quit.
Are we good with the echo?
Sounds like it's gone.
Good.
Okay, so presentations, we'll go to number 4 on the agenda, the rate study and affordability program kickoff. Gray Lewis?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm gonna, by way of introduction, Gray Lewis, CFO. We have our rate consultants online, Anna White with Black and Veatch, and we also with Black and Veatch, and Tyler Antrup, our Director of Planning and Strategy. We're gonna share with you some highlights on the rate study project. Tyler starting off, and then I'll pick up with some financial information.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Good morning, board members. So we're excited today to share with you some details about our financial planning exercises that we've been doing over the last few years, looking forward to the next 5 years. And so, you know, what we're planning to share today is how we intend to continue through this process and go to the community and ask for their input on this process as well. So if you want to go, I don't think we're at the beginning of the slideshow there. I think you need to go back. Right there. All right. So the Sewage and Water Board, as you all know, is an independent public utility. We receive our, we are under certain requirements under the state constitution and the Louisiana revised statutes. One of those requirements is that if we do intend to seek any kind of rate increase, we have to notify the Board of Liquidation and the City Council in advance of that and hold specific public hearings, provide transcripts to the Council and the Board of Liquidation in order for them to be notified of the public's input in the process. In the past, what the board has done is provided a specific rate increase that they'd like to ask for, and then held these hearings as a way of notifying the public, and then pass that feedback on to the Council and the Board of Liquidation. This time, we decided what we'd like to do is sort of flip this on its head a little bit, and we'd like to take the results of our financial plan, meaning our analysis of our cost of service, our analysis of our operations and maintenance costs and our capital needs, and projections of our revenue going forward, and take this information to the public and work with them to understand what their priorities are for our projects over the next 5 years, and what level of rate increase they may be willing to submit to if we were to raise a certain amount of revenue to take on additional projects. And so we're sort of here at the beginning of the process where we would be asking for the board of directors to allow our executive director to send that notification on to the Board of Lic and to the City Council, letting them know that we intend to begin this formal process. However, at this time, you know, we're just kind of working through how we would like to engage with the public. So before we dive in, we did want to talk about sort of, you know, what is it that we're here to talk about in this presentation today? Again, this is really about kicking off a formal process. And if there were to be any specific rate proposal, that would likely occur in January after we've had a chance to have our conversations with the community. We've also heard from board members and others that we've discussed about this plan with that, we want to make sure that we're leveraging all of our available funding sources before we go to the public for any additional revenue through rates. And we wanted to just address that head on and say that, of course, there are all of these other sources available to us. I think that we've been extremely successful in the past in terms of leveraging WIFIA funding and FEMA funding. There are going to be additional opportunities through the IIJA, federal infrastructure money, and HUD funding. However, many of these are smaller, sort of project-specific revenue pots. They don't provide a long-term stable revenue source. In many cases, they are also loans, or they do require a federal or a local cost share. And so there is going to be a need for additional local revenue in order to bring to the table to either repay a loan or to address a local cost share. In terms of a proposed percentage increase today, we are not proposing any specific increase. We've run several scenarios based on our need and our cost of service analysis. However, the proposed increase will be based on all of those technical elements, but more importantly, on the public input and the feedback that we receive at the community meetings we're hoping to hold. And so far, the study essentially is complete in terms of the analysis work. Our consultants, Black & Veatch, have provided those baseline cost of service for our customers, an analysis of our operating and capital needs for our water and sewer systems. And we've also, of course, taken into account affordability considerations and potential rate adjustment scenarios so that we are armed with the information we need when we go to the public to help them understand what potential scenarios there are. And so our goal with this rate study is for a balanced, well-supported plan focused on stability and resiliency for the utility. So the next step, if we are successful in receiving your blessing to go forward with this process, is we like to hold a series of 3 public meetings. These would be roundtable discussions with the public where we could have a sort of open house at the beginning with customer service representatives and other staff available to help customers understand key projects and really have a chance to have dialogue with our staff. And then allow them to go through a facilitated roundtable discussion where they'll have an exercise to do looking at, what are our financial needs, what potential projects are we looking to fund over the next 5 years, and what type of revenue scenarios would be required in order for us to fund those projects. So I don't want to understate how, important it is that we are going to be using this scenario for really one of the first times that I can think of in our history to ask the public how to prioritize our investments over the next 5 years, and then ask them how they'd like for us to fund them. And so again, these meetings are supposed to be all about providing the feedback that we will then pass on to the Board of Liquidation and to the City Council as we develop a rate scenario along with the public. So I'm going to pass it back over to Gray just to talk a little bit about the key takeaways from the rate study.
Thank you so much, Gray. And before you start, I just want to recognize Board Member Nichelle Taylor has joined. We now have an official quorum, and Councilman King is coming as well. We can move the name. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you all very much. Mr. Lewis?
Thanks, Tyler. And Mayor, from my perspective, the financial diligence part of this is very, very important. We want it to be intentional and have a strong financial case, go through this with our rate consultants in a measured way. We have 3 systems: water, sewer, and drainage, and we need to keep those separate, and we need to have solid financial planning to come to public to talk about our rates. But thinking about the project as a whole, this is an extensive rate study project that's been going on. There's 4 main drivers that we've talked about that come up often in our talks and our finance updates, with the aging infrastructure, the amount of deferred maintenance that has occurred, the historical underinvestment in capital, and on the financial planning side, the facts are historical rate increases have been erratic, decades of no increases, some large increases, and quite frankly, when there was a large increase recently that goes to fill previous holes that were created and what didn't have a forward-looking approach such that you could build and invest in a rational sort of planned manner. So at this time, we're needing to do multi-year capital financial planning, and that's what we've undertaken with this rate study. And then finally, an important driver is understanding our customers and the affordability aspects and many of the challenges people face. So we work closely with our rate consultants to ensure all of these drivers are considered so we can end up with a stable, more resilient overall system and a way to look ahead into the next 5 years with all the things coming down the path and need to improve the system. So on the next slide, we'll start with water. You know, the math is pretty simple. With the current revenues, we'll be straight across the line, and we'll quite frankly be challenged just to pay for our O&M cost and meet our debt service. The water system hasn't done any bonding since 2015. Because of these numbers, we're not able to issue bonds to have a long-term payoff period to invest in capital. So additional revenue is going to be needed to make any investments in capital, and quite frankly, the drinking water regulations and the needs to upgrade the Carrollton Water Plant, Algiers Water Plant are imminent in the next few years. So we will have to have additional revenue to fund our capital improvement needs. The next slide is sewer, which is relatively a healthier system. We've had financing plans with WIFIA and other projects that have provided some capital, but the math is also working out the same way. We're challenged to meet the capital needs when we look at a forward-looking plan of investing in the wastewater treatment plants to do necessary upgrades to the sewer lines, the system, the sewer pumping stations, and all the sewer mains. So again, additional revenue is needed in order to not have to defer these capital projects. So skipping ahead to how does it look on this slide, this is illustrative purposes, you know, skipping to the bill, the customers, that's our ratepayer, how does the impact for a series of what we would think of as more nominal 3 to 6% for example purposes impact of bill. So water, sewer is combined and billed to the customers. So we're talking about, for our most common use of gallons, 4,400, you know, a few dollars per monthly bill, you know, at our existing charge, $97, that highlighted line, to almost a $3 increase at 3% and about $5.83 at 6%. So that's just to give an example of how the total bill would be affected. But the key takeaway is what we're getting is the ability to spend capital of, you know, between 160 to 200 million, have that bonding capacity in water, be able to invest more appropriately and pay back over time with bonds. So that's just to give an idea to the board of directors of what a typical bill impact might be. This is not a proposal at this point, but just illustrative in nature. So with that, I'll go ahead, Tyler, I'll let you pick up.
Yeah, thanks, Grace. So I think it's also important for us to recognize that our community is challenged in terms of income, that we do have a large proportion of residents that are living in poverty. And we also heard loud and clear from our board and from our city council and others that our current delinquent accounts is unacceptable. And so one of the ways that we'd like to try to address this is by hoping to get more customers at a point where they're able to pay. And so one of the ways that we're hoping to do that is through an enhanced customer assistance program that we've developed along with this rate study. And so under our current program, we do have something called Water Help, which is a program that provides a $200 annual bill credit to residents or customers who are below the poverty line and also over the age of 62 or permanently disabled. This program, I think, currently assists about 1,200 customers. It's relatively small. And so what we'd like to do is expand this program and make it available to more customers and really make sure that we're addressing the needs that are out there in the community. So our goals in developing this program are really to make sure that we can provide more meaningful assistance to customers who fall below the federal poverty line based on those established criteria. And we'd also like to expand the program so that it's not just an age and disability program, but would be available to all residents who fall below the poverty line. We're targeting currently that we'd like to see first-year participation of about 5,000 accounts, which is 4% of our customers, so it would be a significant increase over our current program. And under current models, we think it would cost about $3.5 million per year in order to administer that program and essentially fund the discounts that you'd be giving to the customers that are participants. There are many options for us to recover that funding. One could be a surcharge on the bill. One could also be, just using additional rate revenue in order to do so. But we want to include this as a topic for our customer feedback in our public meetings so that we can help understand, what level of discount would be meaningful to the customers who would qualify, and what level of funding, our customers who would not be participating in the program would be willing to essentially share in order to fund the program. And so with that, just to kind of go over the next steps, we'll be looking to continue to gather stakeholder feedback throughout the end of this month and into next month, and then move into a more initial public outreach phase. Likely in the first weeks of December, we'll be looking to hold those public meetings. We'll, of course, be broadcasting that as widely as possible. We'd also like to prioritize making them available at different times, maybe one during the day on a weekday, one on a weekend morning, one on a weeknight, so we can make sure that as many people as possible are able to participate. Once we finish these meetings, then we can come back to the board with a more formal proposal. And then if we put forward a rate proposal, that would basically come before the board at the January meeting, which would kick off the process where essentially, if the board approves that plan, it would leave the hands of the Sewage and Water Board and be in the hands of the Board of Liquidation and the City Council to consider the rate proposal. If we were to move forward, then we would, of course, continue to do public outreach so that we can explain to our customers what the proposal would be and what the benefits to them might be. But our goal is we would hope that if there were to be a rate increase, we could implement that by June of next year so that we could have it available and begin receiving that revenue and, as Gray indicated, begin looking at bond proposals for capital projects.
Very good. All right. Any questions for discussion? Ghassan?
Mayor, I just need to emphasize, and I'm glad that slide is up, is that we are seeking feedback. So if you allow us to start the process, there is no specific asks of the public. So I want to make sure that the public and the media understand that this is not a traditional approach, and thanks in many parts to the team for recognizing that this is the way to do it and going out to the public and just share what we know, being factual. It's about quality of life, about quality of service that our customers demand, and what it takes to deliver on that quality of service. So let them decide what's important for them, what their priorities are, and then let us come back to you with, their voices heard.
Sure.
So there's no ask today of anybody of anything, any numbers that you saw outside the financial numbers are just for demonstration purposes to illustrate the need, but then it's a baseline. It could go below, it could go higher, it could go, totally, different from what we're proposing, but we're allowing people to have a better understanding of the need. So,
Sure. Janet?
First of all, Tyler, I think that this is a great way to go to start putting information out rather than coming out with some kind of fiat, and so commend everyone for that approach. I think it's really, really important, though, that we get adequate notice of too many public meetings. You get a notice 3 days, 5 days before. These have got to go out long before that. And if we're doing something this major, I think we may want to consider increasing the number of public meetings, because 3, I don't think, especially at this time of year, will do it.
absolutely. 3 may be the minimum required, but we are cognizant of.
Because you've got, people only travel so far,
Right.
Things like that, and you have so many conflicts at that time of year. I really think if people are going to feel heard, that's important.
Absolutely.
This is maybe a detail that I shouldn't ask right now, but the different points of there, we had $190 million. That was over what period of time? The different raises.
It's a 5-year plan.
So that's how much it'll raise in 5 years. So I'm sitting here multiplying 140,000 accounts by that. It didn't. Thank you.
I think there's some opportunities beyond our public meetings to participate or ask to be on the agenda of meetings of community organizations and other types of entities where we can kind of put this information out there and seek input. And also I was wondering, are there ways that people can provide input if they don't come to a meeting? Is there going to be something online? Are there surveys? Like what are sort of the other ways besides sort of meetings where people have to show up and not everyone is able to do that?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. We have been talking about the ability to do sort of like an online comment form with maybe a video that would show the details of what we would present at the meeting so that folks who aren't able to come to a physical meeting can still get the information that they need and provide their feedback that way.
So having a pretty intentional outreach plan or communications plan needs to be aligned with the community engagement strategy. I agree that the 3 meetings are, standard, but definitely are not enough. I think there's an opportunity, though, in working with the New Orleans City Council, understanding that this goes to the council, but the council members are, have districts and have responsibilities as well with meeting people on the ground. So if we can even engage on the front end, I think that would just be give a sense of a unified message to the community as we move through this, because this is a community issue and broadly. And the better we come together to educate, because a part of it is going to be a large component of educating the public and also using real examples of if we don't do X, then maybe Jackson, Mississippi. I mean, these are real legitimate issues that we have to face as a city. And I think, again, if we can build in a strong and unified approach as a community and as a city, I think we will do a much greater job of not only educating our people, but bringing them along. I know that, coming in as mayor, we had so many things on fire with the board. And we have taken on many of those challenges relative to power and redundancy and our power stations, substations, all of that. But we also knew no money there for drainage. We also knew the issues we were having with sewer, also with water. And so here we are, and being able to take this on now, I think that unified approach. So I would ask for Councilman King, as being a representative of the council on this board, maybe to work with the leadership in the committee to potentially put together a stakeholder engagement process, understanding that the board is moving forward with it, but also that eventually this will come before the New Orleans City Council. I think the last time there was an increase that went to the council was in 2012? 2012. I know it was right before I was elected to the council, and that was all mean. It was, tough. But what I'm saying is this is something that we're going to have to deal with as a city. And we know that it will go to Board of Lic, also with the city council. We know that politics are real around here, but also the impacts on the ground are real as well in terms of sewer, water, and drainage for the future of this city. So I've said my spiel.
One more comment. I know that we do pursue sources of funds outside of ratepayers, and when we go to the public with this, I think it's a good thing to point out to them what we have looked for and what we've been able to achieve, so they don't just say, go get it from the feds or something that's not. Thank you.
Yeah, no, Councilman.
Right. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be honest with you, as a council member, it's going to be tough to ask for a rate increase, especially when I get, and we all get, emails and phone calls about how my water bill has doubled, has tripled. I don't see Mr. Gonzalez. He is here. He has done a great job of being that go-to person to get water turned back on. But we shouldn't have to always, I shouldn't have to always rely on him because someone bill went from $200 to $800 in 1 month. And quite frankly, I'm getting kind of frustrated with the emails and the phone calls because I can't do anything about a person's water bill going up triple and double and 200%, whatever. And I get the phone calls and I get the angry emails and I get stopped in the grocery store. So it'd be hard to ask the public for a rate increase, just being very honest, when they already see an increase in bills and really don't understand why. I had a single mom say my bill is in the thousands, and it's been a couple hundred, now it's in the thousands, and I have no answer why, and have no reason why. So it'll be tough for me to vote on it or to support it. I definitely would have those stakeholder feedbacks in October and in November, but it would be very tough to get somebody to buy into that. And while I have the floor, I want to know, who should I send the emails to that I get from angry constituents about their bills?
You send it to Renee Gonzalez, who is over customer service, and the reality is, based on where we have been with billing, we're nowhere where we used to be, which is an indicator that things are moving in the right direction. And I can say emails and phone calls, I get them too, but I can also measure the fewer emails and calls I get about billing now versus 4 years ago. So definitely, I think Renee Gonzalez is the point for customer service. And as you indicated, we're getting just great results from him in terms of how he works with our constituency.
Absolutely, no doubt. But it.
And Mayor, I mean, we do appreciate the perspective, and we're totally cognizant of the continued challenges, but we also cannot ignore or be shy about all the progress we've been making on many other fronts, whether the smart meter program that's coming to solve that very issue. We have an intermediate solution that I'll talk about in a second. The power, modernization. I mean, many fronts. There's a momentum here, and we need to take advantage of that momentum moving forward. We can't allow one issue to stymie progress completely, and we can't allow it to dwarf. Then that's not to minimize the angst and the challenges that it presents our customers. We are totally cognizant of that.
Well, and especially with when you think about water and you think about the Algiers plant and you think about the Carrollton plant, and again, this has been kicked for so long. So unfortunately, the need for us to exhibit some leadership on this matter is just right here. The can has been kicked as far as it can be kicked, and the need to continue to invest in the sewer, the water, and the drainage in this city, again, it's just a fact. And so it's one, educating the community is the first step, and I think that that's what we're proposing here this morning. Going out, educating, and moving it along. But at the end of the day, it goes to the Board of Liquidations, and it will go to the New Orleans City Council because it has to, and then the council has to take up the matter regardless, because these issues are just that significant. So, and then at that point, then the City Council will, again, I'm sure, have public meetings and engage, but will not be able to head in the sand and not address the issue. But if that's the case, then that will be the leadership exhibited by that branch of government at that time. But as a utility, in this particular board, I think that we have to do what we know is in the best interest of the city, based on the inadequacies of our water, of our sewer, and of our drainage. And again, seeing other municipalities with these challenges, we have to take it up.
I want to add a comment to what Councilman King was saying. I think to the extent that those type of issues that he was describing are not reflected of rate increases, I just want to confirm, so that would either be a product of usage change or billing errors. And I think we really needed, and we might want to consider really clearly separating those issues so that they're not confounded as part of the same thing.
Right.
Hence forming a source of unwarranted opposition to the type of rate increases we're talking about. I think it's really important to own those things as billing errors or billing issues, if that's what it is, so that there's less confusion in the consumer mind as we go out there as part of our outreach to kind of put that in its own lane, if you will.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great perspective.
Absolutely. I agree with Carol on that. Again, that's that education component. And that's the approach that we'll have to take. I love the informational videos. I also like those, the scribing ones that kind of walk people through like really quickly. They work. I think anything that we can do to educate and bring our people along and have them have a better understanding of our utility and the complexities that come with it, I think that's what we have to do. And a part of it is why we're having issues now with not educating fully for decades, I would say, around here.
Yeah, I would agree that it would, being as transparent as possible, like Carol said, with what the issues are on billing versus actual issues is going to be something that we should focus on because, yes, we are seeing signs of improvement, but at the same time, folks just know that their bill is going to increase, and this is after the LDI also pushed forward a rate increase for homeowners insurance and flood insurance for about 63%.
That's right.
So all they know is that there's going to be an increase in additional bills, and people are kind of dealing with it right now on top of other rate increases. And so just making sure that it does get communicated, especially with maybe local coalitions on what the difference is, what's the programs that are kind of being pushed out to kind of help use them as leaders to push out that information and maybe do some more of those programs to where people can't get to those meetings, but maybe they can help initiate those programs and get the information out to make it easier to, again, inform people of what's the difference between billing errors and actual kind of issues that they're having. Because I also get the same thing of it's a lot of billing errors. That's just very simple things that really shouldn't happen. And I think that's more of the frustration.
Absolutely. We're fully cognizant of the burden of any increase. That's why if you look at the range of what we're drawing for the public is so modest, because not only we understand what that means to each and every customer, but also we're only asking what we can deliver, right? We're not asking for things that we cannot deliver to you as our customers. So we know we have a capacity limit, and then we know exactly what we need to do. We are anticipating the need. We know that outside an error in a bill, we still have to purify water to deliver clean and safe water to you, and we'll continue to do that. There are regulations coming our way that we know will render us, ineffective or, inoperational.
So consent decrees.
Our job is to anticipate and be able to be ready to deliver, new and higher standard in terms of water or anything else to our customers. That's our job.
That's our job.
And if we don't tell the story now, we failed you.
I agree. I agree. And of course, AMI, the automatic readers, that will solve the billing issue for the city. That's why we made it a priority. That's why it's moving forward. And I cannot wait until the completion. Ms. Howard.
Going back to AMI, this billing has been a problem all the way along, and AMI is supposed to be the solution. When is that happening, and should this be adjusted in any way based on that?
What was the last part, would you say?
And should the timing of this be adjusted? I mean, is trying to separate billing from other issues adequate?
It's a 3-year.
So, part of my ED report was going to touch on the interim solution for the billing as we see it today, and obviously the smart meter program that is being launched. As you know, we are in the midst of making very, very good and lasting decisions. We are close to submitting a final detailed plan to our vendor as of on November 1st, so they can respond to it. And then once it's all cleaned up, it's a notice to proceed, and then we'll start implementing. So it's imminent in terms of ordering, planning. Where do we put the towers or poles for right? So it's happening, but what's key is we have recognized that most of the issues we have when it comes to billing is the recurring estimates that ends up with a significant true-up that blows up people's minds, like what is happening here, right? So if I may just, where we are today, and I know we came to operations committee meeting last week and presented you with
And I know you're
with
gonna
a solution.
present that, but my question is, should the timing of this be adjusted in any way so that there's time to demonstrate that this new solution works to separate out that issue? That's my only.
In terms of the AMI, in terms of that
in terms of
particular,
particular
that-
program, the interim
that program, well, that program it's a multi-year program. It is something that it has to be aligned. Unfortunately, time isn't on our side. I mean, that's the situation. This can has been kicked for so long, for decades, and we are the people in this moment to have to deal with these challenges. So I think that in our approach, we can look at that, to see what would be, if it could be restructured, if you will, but based on the process of this rate increase. I think on the front end, it's more on education, and then as we move through the process.
Yeah, I mean, as the mayor stated,
Fortunately.
to complete the smart meter program and to be fully implemented, that's 2.5 years out. That's added to 2 years of.
I'm not talking about the AMI
Oh,
program.
you're talking about
I am talking about giving enough time to demonstrate that what you're going to be describing with the estimated bills, with the billing change, works to get a more solid foundation before, 6 months or whatever. I'm raising that question to eliminate that is
I may have gotten it wrong.
Yeah.
I may have misunderstood.
Yeah.
I'm not clear anymore.
Okay, I guess I should just wait till you describe it. If there's an interim billing correction,
Okay.
attempt to correct the billing that's going in place, that is supposed to function until you get to AMI, does it make sense to allow enough months to go by to demonstrate to the public that this program works to take that off the table as an issue? That's my only question.
Before the rate increase
Yes.
conversations, is that what you're?
Yes. And I'm just raising the question.
I have a couple comments. I don't know what our actual billing rate is, and maybe, I don't believe everybody's bill is wrong.
Just not.
I do believe that if you have a few bills that are wrong, it could create a lot of volume, and maybe I don't want to know what that number is, but it seems to me of 140,000 accounts, a small percentage could generate. I'd like to know what that number is. What I'm saying,
Yeah.
but more importantly, and Mayor, you said it took a long time to get to where we are right now, but we're at a place where I think it's an exigent circumstance, and so I think we need to understand fully what if we don't do this,
Yeah.
because putting our head in the sand is not going to solve
It's
the
not.
problem. And I'm not saying anybody's doing that,
Yeah.
but I think we need to know this is how long we have before the filters, the freshwater filters fail. This is we're not going to be able to fight a fire or whatever. This is how far are we from Jackson, Mississippi, to use an example of it, because people need to understand that it's not just we don't do the raise and so it's okay.
That's
It'll be
right.
okay.
Well, and I think too, we have clear examples in this city, unfortunately, about when we don't address an issue, when we do not maintain.
Yeah.
And so we've seen the movie before, over and over and over again. And I think that, again, this is something that we have to face. We just do. And we do it with dignity, of course, and with transparency and honesty about what the issues are on the ground relative to sewer, water, and drainage in this city. And so education is going to be key, and that's what we're proposing here, I think, today. I think that also what Janet has brought to the table is something that could be explored relative to the billing side of it. But back to Carol's point, I think it's just we have to clearly define for the public, and Ms. Nichelle separating the issues. And I know you can you collapse them all, when you hear the rate increase, oh my goodness, everything is collapsed. But we have to separate it out and educate them accordingly. And I would have to say a lot of as I get to the bottom of the billings issues, even with Mr. Renee, it is months and months and months of non-payment, which makes the bills so large. And those are just facts when you really get down to it. But this also speaks to, when I get down to that, shift them to the program and really help people that way. But it doesn't eliminate their bill 100%, but it does help, and it gets them on a path to paying in some cases, because it's not free, and it's just not free.
Right. But it's certainly a very meaningful perspective, and we will definitely explore it. And it's a balancing act, right? I mean, we are on our second year of no adjustments, and time is of the essence in terms of keeping the momentum going, and the need is not getting any smaller, exponentially getting greater by the day. Our water mains are not getting any younger, right? They're getting more demanding in terms of attention day in and day out. So
So when are we looking to have these community education meetings? How soon?
Next 2 months or so.
Okay.
And again, we're gonna try to hit every corner of the city,
Right.
likely 5 meetings at least, so we have each district represented, and we want to make sure that everybody's heard.
And that's just the Sewage and Water Board, meaning it goes to the Board of Lick, it goes to the New Orleans City Council. You all will have your own process, hopefully your own outreach meetings. Hopefully you're going into the community, not just people coming to the chamber. I mean, that's the council has its own communications and outreach strategy relative to what's coming to you all. This board has to do what's necessary to get it over to you. And that's what we're wanting to act upon today, to get it into the public realm, start the process for this utility, therefore going to next the Board of Lick, and that board dealing with it, and then going to the New Orleans City Council, and the City Council dealing with it as well, meaning there is a shared responsibility relative to the needs of our utility, sewer, water, drainage. And I think this process indicates that.
Well, one more comment I have.
Yes, sir.
So who do I talk to get the meetings for District C on the East and West Bank? That's my first question. And the second question is, who from this board, outside of myself, because I will be there, will come to the meetings on the East and West Bank of District C and explain this to the constituents?
Yeah, there'll be a team of us. I will be there. Tyler will be there. Ron will be there. I mean, a whole team of us will be there, and we will make sure we are reaching out to you so you are at least present, so you can hear what we're hearing, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I'll definitely be.
Yeah.
I want to get it done. I don't want to be late with this and be a part of the problem. I want to be a part of the solution. So maybe we're done. Let me know who to talk to. If we get these meetings scheduled, preferably, like you say, sooner than later. Holidays are coming up. Maybe you don't want to just be distracted or have residents distracted from this major important topic. So as sooner we can get this scheduled for both sides of District C, that'd be great. Now I'll definitely lead the charge on that.
Absolutely, and we appreciate your partnership. Yeah.
Right, and I would just add, I mean, as the representative of the City Council, you could potentially work with other members. We want the council to be included in the board's process, all knowing that the council will have its own. But to your point about community meetings, the schedule, and the like, I think we would want to engage so that there's alignment there. If there's a particular place in the district, that sort of thing, I think that we would strive, and I'm saying, we will strive to align ourselves with the council members based on their districts.
Right. We have met with most of them already, and there's definitely an appetite to be present and be part of the feedback collection, I guess, for exercise.
Yes,
One
ma'am.
last, sorry to talk so much, but I mean, I think it's important too to stop back and look at the history. I mean, we had the huge increases over the 10-year period. But the fact of the matter was, we had those increases because we had gone decades without them. And to run a utility properly, we're going to have to get on some basis with regular, moderate increases. You cannot run something any other way. And if we don't, I think it's important to realize that if we don't take some action along the way, we will end up in the same place where 10 years from now, people are going to have to face 10% a year increases again. It's
And you're reacting rather than
yeah,
being proactive.
you're reacting rather than dealing with the problem up front. And I think that's a piece of history that a lot of members of the public aren't aware of because it's not in their lifetime. It's something that's happened before, but it did happen. And as you said, we've got to deal.
This is our time. I mean, and I know I don't want to be the leader that's blamed for not taking action. I think I picked up a lot of cans around here that has demonstrated that. But this is our time, and we're going to start it with educating the public and hopefully bringing them along, but making sure that the Board of Lick and then the City Council, again, has some shared responsibility in educating, but also making the tough decisions that's required. Yes,
I just
ma'am.
have one question about the meetings. Is it possible to have, I know customer service will be at the meetings, but to actively help people address any billing issues that they
Absolutely.
have and problems so that that is happening at the same time as we're kind of providing?
I attended a meeting a couple Saturdays ago. It was part of the neighborhood engagement, and we had
On site.
customer
It was really good.
service reps, and they had little business there, to be honest with you, versus a couple of years ago where there
Yes.
would be lines.
Yes.
So, I mean, the issue continues. So please don't misunderstand me, but it had been, it's going down. It's being diminished. So we will definitely have that service available for our customers.
Yes. Yeah. Anything else on this matter?
I'll just add one more thing. I think if you don't already have this data, it might be interesting to see if there are any cities out there that are doing a great job of keeping up with their infrastructure and not having huge deferred maintenance issues, to kind of get some market data around what percentage increases on average they're passing through to their customers. And within that universe, obviously select which ones would be an appropriate benchmark for a city like ours. But I think it might be good just to understand like what a well-functioning environment might look like as it relates to annual increases.
Absolutely.
There's
I can tell
definitely,
you,
yeah.
many utilities have that administrative increase on annual basis of 3%, just an indexing increase that just allows you to remain current.
Yeah. And there,
Outside, a one-time, additional increase above and beyond the 3% administrative increase. So.
and then there are a lot of examples too that we can point to that would, I think, reflect that our utility is really moving in the right direction, and to where other utilities are wanting to do some of the things that we're having to do. But like Jackson is one, but there are multiple, especially in our country, based on the lack of investment in infrastructure throughout the country. Go ahead, Karen.
That's telling. If 3% is the rate when you're not behind, when you're just doing a perfect job of maintaining, I think you've got to, that is very helpful in setting my expectation then as a consumer, knowing that if we're this much behind and you showed that graph where revenue is way below where we need to cover all those expenses, that the expectation should be that we're going to need to probably do something significantly more than just the 3% that might be typical if we had zero or very nominal deferred maintenance issues. So I think there's a way that we've really got to help connect those dots in the education sessions.
Absolutely. But again, we are choosing a range that we know we can live with, and it is already modest. There's nothing exorbitant or large about what we're proposing here, in terms of options. So it's going to be very modest.
Definitely taking Carol's approach in terms of this educational piece. Yes,
absolutely.
Absolutely. I think we have to we have to be strong.
Yep, I appreciate the feedback.
All right, anything else on this one? Like, where's my stick? Where's this horse? I always tell them, where's that stick again? Bam. This is necessary.
Make a motion on that one?
No, we're at the approval of the minutes dated September 21st, 2022. And so we can go back to doing the agenda as it's actually been publicized.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Ms. Yolanda, and we now have an official quorum as mentioned previously. We will ask, or I will ask for a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting dated September 21st, 2022. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Director Howard,
Second.
seconded by Director Sloss. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions?
I'll abstain.
Okay, one abstention. All right. All right, Carol, one abstention, and the motion passes. Minutes have been officially approved. Executive Director's report.
Thank you, Mayor, and good morning again, everybody. I'll breeze through my already short report today. We're gonna start with a quick roundup of the WEFTEC event that took place a couple weeks ago here. It was overwhelmingly successful. It puts the city in the water world perspective on the map. It allowed us to engage in so many ways. It was overwhelming, and it was an awesome experience for many of us. A lot of our leadership team attended, and there's some information up on the slide. One key or noteworthy note is that that was an opportunity to celebrate the 50-year anniversary of Clean Water Act. As you know, it was in this month, and it was definitely a prominent event across the board. And all you have to look of the impacts that Clean Water Act really had done to our nation. You don't have to look that far. Lake Pontchartrain, look back on the history of that and how beautiful the lake is and how enjoyable in terms of leisure and recreational use. I mean, that's just one small example of what that act has really done for our nation, and then the waterways and the natural resource that we have. I do want to acknowledge our Director Barnes, who attended that, and I got a lot of feedback about how wonderful it is to have a board of director engagement and being there. So I do want to thank you for the time you took and being there. So
Could I just add one comment
Absolutely.
about it? That I've been to WEFTEC many times, and what I saw as a real kind of expansion of topics was it wasn't just about infrastructure. This time there were discussions about affordability, equity, and I just think what the sense I got is this is very new to utilities, right? So
absolutely.
there aren't like amazing best practices and folks that have been doing this, and so we're really challenged by this, but we actually also have the opportunity to kind of be a leader in it if we get it right.
Absolutely.
And so I just wanted to throw that out.
Yeah, that's a great observation. I know environmental justice was a prominent topic across, all utilities, and their decisions that they make are so crucial for the public, and it's becoming definitely a thing. So, yeah.
And I think it's becoming that way because clearly for decades it has been ignored, and environmental justices or injustices are real.
Right.
And I think that what we're seeing across the country with inadequate infrastructure that people have had to live with for generations. And this is, again, our opportunity to be leaders in this space and how we're engaging and through that lens of equity. And just align with decisions that we're making in our city, to right some wrongs.
Absolutely. And just the opportunity to meet with, water sector leaders, EPA leaders who were present, gain, insight of what's happening from the EPA, what's coming down, allow us to share our concerns as a utility. So we kind of meet in the middle. It was very, very great opportunity. And again, they're coming back to us next, in 2 years. So again, wonderful opportunity to host such a big event. 18,000 people showed up for that. It's huge.
Around the world.
Yeah. The smart metering is continuing. We're making, again, very key decisions. We have a great team. I'm beyond amazed about how much detailed they're being in terms of every minutia is being discussed and making good decisions, because this is a system for the next, not 10 years, the next 50 years. So anything that they're deciding is going to be very impactful. So we're nearing many decision points. Like I said before, November 1st is where we're going to submit all decisions pertaining to a lot of details in that memo that we'll be sending, looking for some feedback from the vendor, and then that would be the ground for notice to proceed, and then it's official. So very, very exciting, but it's moving, it's on track, and it's moving forward as planned. Just a quick minute relative to what we're doing in the interim. We decided that what is going on is not acceptable. We recognize that, again, many of our issues are related to recurring estimates that create a significant true-up. So, and there are a lot of things really are beyond our control, whether it's weather, whether it's a workforce that people choose or not to work or sign up for being a meter reader. So we are struggling with having the needed staffing levels to do what we need to do. So we intentionally decided to reallocate the resources that we know we have, and intentionally going to read 50% of our meters every month and then alternate. And with that, we would then eliminate the recurring estimate scenario. So now it's a structured, organized every other month. So your meter will be read, and then the estimate will be then predicated on the read from the month before. So within 6 months, we're going to have solid numbers that we are comfortable with, and then we are confident that's going to reduce the amount of true-up and the issues associated with it. So huge thanks to obviously Rene and his team. We're going to launch that as early as November 1st, and hopefully most people won't even recognize that or feel it, and the people who historically had a lot of estimates will see an improvement in terms of they're going to have more consistent reads, meaning every other month. So we're looking at this as an interim solution, obviously, to the smart meter. We are confident it's going to deliver better results to our customers.
Okay, so just making sure I hear right. Okay, so the restructuring for this process is expected to begin in November? November?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm just kind of tying in Janet's, now I'm kind of getting what you're talking about. So November, when do let's see, November, December, maybe January, you think may be a good, see, I'm trying to kind of weave in Janet's comment in terms of when we would go out to the public. And of course, giving them, the public, some time to
enjoy the
benefit of this program or this restructuring. So that puts it maybe January. So if we were to wait and go to the public in January, so it shifts our timeline to go to the Board of Lick and the council, but maybe that's a great, it doesn't, I think it's something that we can do. Is all I'm saying. I understand what you're saying.
Okay,
now.
I was just trying to eliminate an issue where it's a matter of a couple months rather than a long period of time.
Right.
Yeah.
And then having to explain what we are going to do versus what we are already doing and seeing some results
Because
from it.
I think what Gaston and Renee are proposing is really a great idea. Get 100%, close to 100% read on a reasonable goal, rather than keep dealing with an unreasonable goal.
I like it. I think she's on
consideration. I mean, it's ideal. What you're proposing is ideal. Again, it's the balance of what we're losing in terms of time and when action we take. But it may be
I think it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
we'll keep you posted relative to the time. allowing maybe this to, in my estimation, it will be 4 months before you start feeling a difference.
So
especially-
even if that's February,
Yeah.
you know, we would have done our due diligence as a utility, demonstrating the best we can to, you know, that to the public, and then kicking it to other leadership, one that's elected to also render a process. But we, as a utility, have done everything I think that we can do to educate as well as to, you know, as we are bringing information, how we bring it does matter.
We hear you loud and clear, so we'll power and come up with a new timeline and see what that looks like, and we'll share it with you.
Okay.
So,
Yay.
thank you.
Yeah, no, this is good. This is leadership. Okay.
Moving on, just an update relative to the amnesty program that the city has sponsored. We are definitely a partner in that effort. We have experienced a good participation rate at on the onset, you know, which we expected. You know, it's fresh.
Yeah.
Everybody was maybe waiting for that to come through, and then we continue to re-advertise, so to speak, to continue to you know, touch more people that, you know, would greatly benefit from this this program. Obviously, I think it expires
December
end of the year.
31st.
So, you know, there's still time that remains that allows you to participate and take advantage of that.
Okay, December 30, let me
Yeah,
correct
December
that,
30.
December 30. And we are also seeing just a great response on the administrative side with people just kind of truing up their bills or their fees that they've been delinquent on.
What's the terms given on the payment plans? Like, how long can you go to pay back your?
I think it varies based on what is owed. You know, we typically try to keep it within 6 months. We can go as much as 12 months.
Okay.
But
I
it's
mean,
specific, yeah.
Yeah, we're meeting people where they are, and you know, we're not letting people go, you know, home without a. You know, we do everything we can to make it work because it's beneficial. It's a win-win. Right? Quick update on our pumping and power. You know, we're in good standing. Obviously, it's been fairly decent weather, so we're not after having a wet season, so we're enjoying some downtime, so to speak. But we are in good standing. A huge project that many of you have seen in progress is the rehab of the pump. The 4 pumps at Claiborne Station is being commissioned. That's a huge milestone. You know, very significant in terms of our ability to put water in the distribution system. You know, creates reliability and redundancy. I mean, it's remarkable project, how sophisticated, and kudos to Ron and Chris Bergeron, who was the project manager, for getting that job done. And to your point, Poco, that was funded through FEMA, and there was a significant amount of dollars that allowed us to do that. So again, cannot go unnoticed. It's huge improvement in terms of the water distribution part. So. The West Power Complex continues. We're on track. Entergy has submitted an updated timeline, and again, you know, we're talking a week or two, a little bit off, but insignificant. So by all measures, we continue to move forward. We're on track. We're looking at a groundbreaking sometime in November. Obviously, we'll make sure that all of you are aware, so you can join us. Very exciting. It's happening. I mean, this is very. I mean, I don't know. It's like giddy about talking about this. It's very exciting. And then, obviously, we're in the midst of our budget season. Huge thanks to Gray and Dexter and others on the team for, you know, shepherding, you know, all the departments and bringing them to, you know, recognize that revenues are limited. The need is great. It's amazing what they can do to balance those two and still deliver great service to our customers. Obviously, you know, we have main drivers. We want to be strategic. We want to be proactive. and we want to be efficient, because if we are asking for additional revenue, we got to make sure to prove that we are using the current, revenue wisely and on behalf of our customers. So that's moving forward. We will be bringing you, obviously, a balanced budget next month for hopefully adoption. And we talked greatly about obviously the rate adjustment and affordability, and there will be a resolution requesting a vote for your approval for that process to start. So we trust that you will allow us to move forward with that. So with that concludes my brief.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ghassan. Any questions for Ghassan? Ghassan, if not, we'll move. We've heard the presentation, and so we will move to committee reports. I do have the pension committee on the agenda. I know that Director Pacho, our chairman, is not here, but that shouldn't stop us.
No, Gray Lewis, our CFO, will provide the pension committee report. Gray?
Mr. Lewis.
Yes, the pension committee met Tuesday, October 18th, here in the boardroom. The members present were Chairman Pacho, Director Alejandro Guzman, Rebecca Johnsey, Kenneth Davis, and Mubashir Makbul. We had also in attendance members of our team, as well as Mr. Kwaku Abed of Marquette & Associates, our investment consultant. The presentation was done by Kwaku Abed on the September 30th investment results, market performance, and then also our overall asset allocation transition plan. There were 2 action items to reallocate real estate index funds and allocate funds into a new global infrastructure fund, which were in accordance with our investment policy statement. Similarly, there was a resolution for a reallocation within our U.S. equity and funds in accordance with our investment policy statement. These actions were voted and approved by the committee, and then we entered into an executive session and accepted the approved recommendation that was presented. So that motion carried. Information items on the detailed investment report were provided to committee members. There was no public comment, and adjournment occurred at 10:10 a.m.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Lewis, for reading through that pension committee's report, and thanks to the directors who participated. I need a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Okay. Director Barnes, we need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Director Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, ayes have it. The committee report has been officially adopted. Thank you. Director Howard will go to operations.
Okay, the Operations Committee met on October 18th in person in the boardroom. Present were Directors Duplessis, Pacho, and myself, absent Directors Taylor and Scholas. The first, there was one presentation item from Renee Gonzalez, which gave the explanation of the alternate media reading strategy. And then discussion items included a discussion with giving the perspective of Mr. Corbin on the OIG's audit on JIR coordination. And as he pointed out, that he's very open to audits, but had trouble with this one and the allocation of relative responsibilities. Chief of Staff Christy Horowski gave an update on what's now known as the People's Plan, and there is now a CEA allowing us to move forward with the Ganoff Foundation on the development of a request for proposals. That's expected to be issued next month, and it'll set forth a scope of work for a consultant to research, review, and analyze options for the Sewage and Water Board's workforce structure and to recommend an optimal structure. There will be Tyler Anthrop, our strategic planning director, gave a summary report on the strategic planning dashboard. This is a very interesting development. It's a great move towards accountability and knowing where we stand. And there were recommendations from the committee that more work be done on developing things, and particular sources to consult include the Effective Utility Management Guide and some of the online sources for developing metrics. We're still short in coming up with metrics that directly relate to the strategies that are being implemented. But that's a work in progress. It's the first time we've done this, and it's underway. So meeting adjourned at 11:14.
Thank you, Director Howard. A lot of good work going on in there. I love the progress with Ganoff and the workforce piece. Thank you for that. The dashboard, we're excited about that. And so with that, I'll ask for a motion to approve the Operations Committee report as presented by our chair, Director Howard.
So moved.
Okay. Second.
We have a motion by Councilman King, seconded by Director Barnes. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, the committee report has been officially adopted. Ms. Yolanda.
Yes, we have Resolution R 155-2022, which was previously discussed in our presentation items. So we are ready for a vote, Mayor.
Okay, so we have a resolution, R 155-2022. Again, authorization to seek customer input through community hearings on rate and financial needs as presented.
Move approval.
We have a motion.
Jumping on that.
Director Sloss, seconded by Director Howard. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, hearing none, the resolution has been adopted unanimously. Ms. Yolanda.
Yes, we have Resolution 138-2022, award of contract for the bill print and mail outsourcing. That's Renee Gonzalez, our Chief Customer Service Director.
Yeah, Mr. Renee Gonzalez. I always say Mr. Renee in the emails, Mr. Renee, because people think maybe he's a woman.
It's Renee with one E.
That's it.
One E at the end.
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you for the opportunity. The purpose of this resolution is to award a contract enabling the water board to outsource our bill print and mail service functions. The goal is to modernize our outdated and often broken bill printing and mailing equipment and provide consistent, reliable, and timely printing and delivery of bills and other important customer communications. I'll share quickly some details about the contract. So we received 7 bids, and SureBill was the lowest bidder. The value of the contract is $915,600 annually, and the duration is for 2 years. Estimated cost per year of current in-house bill and print delivery function is estimated around $750,000, and covers printing materials and maintenance of equipment, which is aged, difficult to maintain, and extremely challenging to repair. Repairs may take up to 2 to 3 business days, impacting the customer's ability to receive a bill in a timely manner. Bless you. And then it creates additional work for departments. Last thing we want to do is be in a position in which a customer receives a bill after the due date. And I'd like to share quickly some important information about SureBill. So SureBill is the only vertical integrated company in the bill printing industry with in-house envelope manufacturing capabilities and an in-house United States Postal Service postal facility. While most competitors are constrained by supply chain issues when they need envelopes or other supplies, this vendor has everything we might need in-house and on-site. And because this is their core function, they possess industry-leading printing and mailing technology, redundancy, and sourcing capabilities, all important components of risk mitigation. There will be no loss of jobs as a result of outsourcing this function. This small group, our mailroom group, is responsible not only for this function, but also incoming and outgoing mail in general for the utility, and distribution of intra-company email as well to our various locations. And we predict that a few employees will continue performing these functions, the functions that remain, and a couple of employees will be reassigned within Customer Service Division. So it's a critical component of our larger strategy and efforts to provide more accurate and timely bills. And Water Board leadership recommends and appreciates the approval of this resolution.
Very good. I appreciate just being so thorough in your delivery. Any questions? Okay. Talking about bills, I think this is a step in the right direction. So with that, I'll ask for a motion to approve as presented by Mr. Gonzalez.
So moved.
Thank you, Director Taylor. We need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Director Barnes. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, this resolution has been adopted. Congratulations. Ms. Yolanda.
We have Resolution 139, 2022, authorization for renewal number 1 of the professional services agreement between the Sewage and Water Board and Avenue Insights and Analytics for Information Systems Management. Melinda Nelson, our IT Director.
Ms.
Good morning. Is this on?
Good morning.
This is the first of 4 options. Now it's on. Sorry. This is the first of 4 optional renewals for the Avenue Insights and Analytics contract, which provides approximately 95% of all the IT staffing for the water board. There are 3 of us that are civil service employees, and the rest of them either work for Avenue or their DBE major services. The contract is in the amount not to exceed $5,003,343.24 for the O&M portion of that of the contract. There's also, on request by the board, emergency staffing during declared emergencies that Avenue will provide, as well as when we are implementing major systems which would be capitalized. There is staffing for the new development contract. Those amounts vary depending on what has been requested by the board.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, hearing no questions for our director, I would ask for a motion to approve R 139, 2022 as presented.
Move approval.
Motion approved, well, motion made by Director Sloss. We need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Director Taylor. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Hearing none, the resolution has been officially adopted. Thank you very much. Ms. Yolanda.
Resolution 154, 2022, authorization for amendment number 3 to the maintenance and support agreement between the Sewage and Water Board and Cogsdale Corporation. Melinda Nelson, IT Director.
This is for professional services performed by Cogsdale for things that are not included in their support and maintenance contract, such as help with special help with implementations, upgrades, training, and such like that for the payroll system, the HR system, and the billing system. It's approximately not to exceed 1,500 hours of professional service work, or $315,000. And we've had good luck with it. We've never hit the 315 hours yet, $1,000 yet, but we have a lot of things planned in the coming year.
Very good. Thank you very much. We need a motion to approve Resolution 154, 2022 as presented.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman King. We need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Seconded by Director Markowitz. Any questions?
What's the difference between Cogsdale and Avenue, what they do?
Michelle?
Avenue provides the staffing for the IT, for the water board IT. Cogsdale provides the billing system, which they wrote, and then they also provide support for the Great Plains Human Resources and payroll systems.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Hearing none, the resolution has been adopted. Ms. Yolanda.
Resolution 156, 2022, authorization to ratify the Sewage and Water Board of New Orleans 2022 holiday schedule. Our CAO, Admiral Callahan.
Good morning, directors. This is simply a late season add to our holiday schedule. Often we don't add the eve holidays at the beginning of the year. So I just note that this is an unusual year where Christmas and New Year's fall on a Sunday. The holidays would be observed on Mondays, and the Eve holidays would be observed on the previous Friday. So those are the 2 dates you see. And also note that the city is following the schedule also. So,
Yeah, that Friday and Monday.
that's correct.
Right. Show a little love. All right, holiday schedule. Motion to approve.
So moved.
All right, Director Barnes, we need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Director Markowitz. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed, any abstentions? All right, holiday schedule is officially approved. Ms. Yolanda.
Now we have our financial summary update from our Gray Lewis, CFO.
Hey, thank you. Good morning again, everyone.
Design.
I'd like to just provide some abbreviated comments. We're staying busy with the fiscal 23 budget planning season and also finishing out this year. So here in August, our total system levels were on track with revenue, and we're less than our conservatively estimated budgeted expenses. But I'd like to maybe just focus mainly on the cash collections and then a few of the metrics that we show on our dashboard. But the August collections were very high, 26.1 million received in August. And September, and I think as we get into the post-summer months, it's come back down a bit. So September, 21.7 million. We've averaged around 22.5 million here in 2022. So much improved because of the regular collections activities. We're hopeful in October with the amnesty program, we'll finish a month strong and hopefully come in above that average. But certainly August was the highest we've seen in the past several months. Here on our dashboard, I'd just like to highlight for the Board of Directors the August numbers. Our operating revenues were 10 million for water, 13 million for sewer. Operating expenses were 10.9 million for water, 13.1 million for sewer. It's line 5. And then line 9, our days cash on hand for water is 168, for sewer is 213. So we're above our minimums. And as mentioned on the expense side, we are seeing the increase in gas and electric that everyone's feeling, personnel costs. So we'll see how the rest of the year goes, but we have conservatively budgeted, so we do expect to come in above our debt service covenant requirement, which is 1.25. So that's modeled here on line 11. And then towards the bottom, I'd like to highlight line 17 and 18 on receivables. We have seen vast improvement over where we were a year ago with total receivables net of allowance down to 40 million. And then also the past due customers down 9 million since last year, same time last year on line 18. And then the last thing I want to highlight on line 23 and 24, we have seen a uptick in the number of accounts in dispute when we look at this number compared to August of 2021 at about 3,400, which came down by 300 from July. So those numbers, jump up when we do a lot of collection activities, and there were actually over 1,300 investigations closed during the year. So we're again focusing on making addressing the customer's issues in a timely manner. But the number here on line 24, average days to complete, you'll see that did go up quite a bit to 168 days. And the reason for that is due to a group of backlog cases, about 235 that were extremely old, over 300 days, that had some type of complex issue or underlying issue that had to get closed and addressed, and that caused the average to jump up to the 168. And the amount of what I call non-backlog cases, in other words, the other approximately 1,000, were the average on those was 56 days. So we have somewhat two different sort of groups of disputed accounts. So we'll continue to close those because we do need to close the old ones at backlog, address the issue, but that will make the average number jump up. So overall, the rest of the activity in the normal report is more traditional things we've seen. So I'm happy to answer any questions on any of the normal charts and figures, but that's all I wanted to comment for the month of August.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Now, the cost of living adjustment that we approved has been dispersed.
Yes, that happened last Friday. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, thank you again for your financial summary update. Ms. Yolanda.
So now we're ready for the general superintendent action items.
All right, thank you. I have a full agenda, but it's quite straightforward. So the first subdivision is contract and awards renewals. I'll do those in global. There are 4 items. The first resolution is Resolution R-104-2022. That is the second renewal for contract YG 19-01, and that's for furnishing and delivering gasoline and diesel fuel between Swepno and Lord Oil. This second renewal is in support of our fleet to deliver the fuel for the fleet. So General Superintendent's Office is asking for approval of this renewal amount of $1,308,852.76. The second resolution is Resolution R-110-2022. That is ratification of award of contract 8168. That's our repaving of open cuts and driveways and sidewalks resulting from the repair of sewage and waterborne underground utilities between Swepno and CMG Pipeline. This is the second, our second paving contract out to an outside vendor to support our network division and catching up with our backlog of paving cuts. As you may be aware, that is one of the areas we're trying to catch up on, and the paving backlog. So this contract will assist with that. It's in the amount of $1,596,000, and the General Superintendent's Office is asking for approval of this ratification. The third resolution under contract awards is Resolution R-127-2022. This is the award of contract 1418, the Carrollton Water Plant utility direct between Swepno and MR Pittman Group. This is by far one of the most critical contracts that we're hitting the street for the West Power Complex. This contract will literally connect, as the Executive Director indicated in his brief, the West Power Complex to the nerve center of Carrollton Water Plant, which is on the east side of the campus. So there were 2 bids. MR Pittman submitted the lowest responsive bid in the amount of $32,215,000. And the fourth resolution under contract awards is Resolution R-128-2022. That's the first renewal. And contract 2159, water point repair, water service connection, water valve, fire hydrant replacement at the various sites throughout Orleans Parish between Swepno and Bo Brothers Construction Company. First renewal in the amount of $1,095,075.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. So we have contract renewals that have been submitted by our General Superintendent. R-104-2022, R-110-2022, R-127-2022, and R-128-2022 that I will ask for a motion for your approval in global.
Move approval.
Yeah, we have a motion by Director Sloss.
Second.
Seconded by Director Taylor. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, the resolutions have been adopted, Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you. The second division is contract change orders. We have one contract change order, Resolution R-122-2022 is the ratification of change order 10 for contract 1377. That's the Waterhammer Hazard Mitigation Program. That's Clearman Avenue Pump Station and offsite improvements between Swepno and MR Pittman Group. In essence, this change orders for additional costs associated with modifying our construction sequence relative to reconstructing a roadway in front of the main plant at the Carrollton Water Plant, Clearman Avenue. We're actually going to perform this work over 2 weekends, and we're going to utilize a high early strength concrete in order to minimize the disruption to the plant itself. This change order is an amount of $107,643.90.
Thank you. All right. We have the one change order as presented by our superintendent, Resolution R122, 2022 for approval. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Director Howard,
I'll second.
seconded by Director Markowitz. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, the resolution has been adopted, Mr. Superintendent, for your change order.
Okay, thank you. The next subdivision is contract amendments. We have 5 contract amendments. The first one is Resolution R121, 2022. That is the authorization of amendment number 4 to the agreement between Swebno and Volkert for design and engineering services for the demolition of the 2 abandoned Carrollton water plant clarifiers. This contract is a freshman services contract relative to our C7, C8 base in the site work. That's 99.9% complete, I would say. And this is to cover the additional design efforts as well as extending the professional services contract through December 31st of this year. This contract is in the amount of, this amendment is in the amount of $100,302. The second amendment is Resolution R123, 2022. That's the authorization amendment number 8 between Swebno and Design Engineering Incorporated for the design and engineering services for the waterline replacement program. This is in essence additional engineering services associated with resident inspection as well as construction administration relative to the neighborhood RR 136, Plum Orchard, West Lake Forest, and in an amount not to exceed $277,500. The third resolution, also associated with waterline replacement program, is R124, 2022. That is the authorization of amendment number 9 between Swebno and Digital Engineering and Imaging Incorporated, again for design and engineering services. Again, this is for resident inspection as well as construction administration. All of this is in conjunction with the City of New Orleans JIR program. This neighborhood is RR062 for the Holly Grove Group B for an NTE not to exceed $70,000. The fourth resolution is R125, 2022. It is authorization of amendment number 8 to the agreement between Swebno and Mott McDonald, the accessor in interest to Lambert Engineers for design engineering services associated with waterline replacement program. Again, resident inspection and construction administration for the neighborhoods of RR 215. This is the Dillard Groups A and B area, and this NTE is not to this amendment is not to exceed $350,000. And the last resolution is R126, 2022. Authorization of amendment number 11 between Swebno and MWH America's predecessor in interest to Stantec Consulting Services for the design and engineering services of the waterline replacement program, again for resident inspection and construction administrations of RR 181 and 176 associated with the St. Roch Group B neighborhood. And this amendment is not to exceed $96,191.40.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. We have Resolution R121, 2022, R123, 2022, R124, 2022, R125, 2022, and R126, 2022 as presented and discussed by our superintendent. I need a motion to approve in globo. It's been moved by Director Taylor, seconded by Director Sloss. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And the last subdivision is final acceptances. It's all 4 of these acceptances associated with our consent decree program with our SOAP work. The first one is Resolution R129, 2022. It's a reconciliation. The final acceptance of contract 30214. That's the South Shore Sewer Rehabilitation number 2 between Swebno and Grady Crawford Construction Company. The value of that contract came up to $885,970.71. The second final acceptance is Resolution R122, RTAC 130, 2022. That's a reconciliation and final acceptance of contract 30222. Again, that's in the South Shore Basin. This is rehabilitation number 3 between Swebno and Grady Crawford Construction Company. The value of this contract was value of the work was $1,479,313.79. Third final acceptance is R-131-2022, reconciliation and final acceptance of contract 30223. Again, the South Shore Rehabilitation number 4 between Swebno and BLD Services. And the value of the work was $3,815,046. And the fourth final acceptance is resolution R-140-2022. That's the reconciliation and final acceptance of contract 30224. This is South Shore Basin Rehabilitation number 5 between Swebno and BLD Services. The work accomplished in this contract was $3,738,243.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Final acceptance, progress, aligned with work that has to be done by our utility. We need a motion to approve in globo.
So moved.
It's been moved by Councilman King. We need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Director Howard. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Final acceptance has been granted and approved, Mr. Superintendent. Executive session, Ms. Yolanda, we need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Moved by Director Howard,
Second.
seconded by Director Barnes. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed, any abstentions? Hearing none, we will officially move into executive session.
Yeah, obviously.
You can do print screen and copy it on the computer.
Okay.
Yes, we're ready.
All right, Ms. Yolanda.
Um,
All right, so we need a motion. Okay, we need a motion to come out of executive session. It's been moved by Director Sloss. Seconded by Director Markowitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Hearing none, we are back in session. Ms. Yolanda.
And we'll need a second motion.
Okay, we need a motion to approve special counsel's recommendations as presented based on the 2 agenda items relative to the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Director Taylor. I'll say seconded by Director Howard. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, well, it's been officially adopted. Ms. Yolanda.
We have information items for your review and public comments. Do we have any public comments, Bree? No public comments, Mayor, and we are now ready for adjournment.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you all so much.